Hello. Hi. So we've had a lot of questions about minimalism and from people wanting to know how to get started and saying they're stuck and they just don't know what the first step is. So we thought we'd do a video on it and share how we got started and just other ways you can do it to see what works for you. So here goes. First of all, find your why. Because sometimes why? Because if you don't know why you're doing it, then you won't have the motivation and you won't have a reason to do it. So it'll be harder to get started, it'll be harder to stay motivated. So find your reason.
My reason actually was quite passive, as in that I found a lot of the time I was getting stressed out, which for me is weird because I'm not a very stressed person, but a lot of that actually was just to do to overstimulation and too much choice.
So so limiting decisions is a good one, and for us as well, it was moving abroad. Like, it was overwhelming to think how much stuff we had and how we could possibly get that from one country to another, the cost of it, just all the stuff that we didn't use or need, just how full the house was. So that was our main motivation. Okay, so method 1, KonMari. If you haven't heard of that, I will link everything down below so you can check out all those resources. But KonMari is basically, you work through in categories. You start with clothes, then books, then paperwork, and then everything else. So kitchen would be one category, any hobbies would be another category. You get all those items out of their original place and you put them in one place all together, either on the floor or on the bed. So we got out all our clothes, put them all on the bed, and then literally went through item by item and just was really ruthless. Like, if it didn't fit, if it wasn't the right colour, if we haven't worn it in sort of 6 months to a year, it went. And then once you've got all your discarded items, they would then be sorted into stuff to sell, stuff to donate, and stuff to chuck. So that is the first method. So you work through in categories and you do that whole category all in one go. Method 2, gradual. So if you have so much stuff, we have a lot of kids and it's just too overwhelming, then just start by doing literally a drawer at a time or a cupboard at a time, a toy box at a time, just a little bit to get you started. And then further along down the line, you might feel like you can sort of be more ruthless and do more in one go. Method 3. This one doesn't have a name, I'm going to call it 10 items. So this one, you pick 10 items that you can't live without, that you use all the time, and obviously those are your necessities. Then you work out what you use in a month. So for a whole month, write down or collect all the items that you've used, and then everything else you know is way less necessary, completely unnecessary, or just decorative. So it gives you an idea of what you actually need and use. Everything else is just clutter.
This one was my personal favourite. I found this one the most effective. Yeah. Actually figuring out what I use versus what I think aids my life was a big one for me. And so now I feel like I've only got sort of the things I have are all tools, all useful things that genuinely my life and my day-to-day life would be much harder without. So this one for me was the best.
And it makes you realise like how much stuff you have that you don't actually use, which is ridiculous. Like the amount of stuff we took to charity shops was, you could have filled a small village with it. Okay, number 4, a packing party. So this is quite drastic, but if you want to save time, this is the one. So you just pack everything you own as though you're moving house, pack it all in boxes, and then you literally get out items as you need them. So if you need a saucepan, unpack it. Need a fork, unpack it. And then you're left with, again, just the stuff you need, and everything else is packed, and then it's up to you. You can just literally donate those boxes without looking at them again, or you can obviously go through and but yeah, It just gives you an idea of what you actually need, and if you want a quick fix and a quick way of just getting rid of a lot of stuff, then that's the one I'd recommend. Number 5. Okay, I think this one is my favourite. It's the Minimalism game. So it was started by the Minimalists, who again I'll link below. You start at the beginning of the month, and on the first you get rid of 1 item, the second you get rid of 2 items, the third 3 items, and obviously you go on for the whole month. So it starts off really easy, and it's a good way to get into the habit of decluttering without feeling overwhelmed or worrying too much about what you need to get rid of. But as the month goes on, obviously it gets harder. And if you actually do the whole month, you end up getting rid of like 500 items, and that's amazing.
I think at first I didn't think I'd enjoy that one, but actually, you're right, it ended up as I think you were more into it than me for that one, but I enjoyed just helping you get on with it. So it was, it made me get rid of stuff that I was sort of on the fence about, and actually now I don't miss at all, so obviously it was the right decision.
And with that one as well, you can compete as well, like if you've got a group of friends or family who all want to declutter, you can like have it as put a bit of a competitive edge on it, and see who can get the furthest through the month. Yeah, there are methods that I would recommend if you're brand new to minimalism and you just have no idea where to start and you're feeling overwhelmed. Just have a look through and see if one jumps out at you. You can try all 5, whatever works for you. Good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.